I don't have a dog in the fight, but using Cassie's youth as a blanket excuse for the choices she made during her decade-long relationship with Diddy is problematic because it removes the necessary element of accountability, without which no one learns or grows.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. So, a 2016 surveillance video obtained exclusively by CNN shows Sean Diddy Combs grab, shove, drag, and kick his then girlfriend Cassie Ventura during an altercation that matches allegations in a now settled federal lawsuit filed by Cassie Ventura back in November. The footage, compiled from multiple camera angles dated March 5th, 2016, appears to show Diddy during an incident that, according to Cassie's complaint, occurred at the now closed Intercontinental Hotel in LA. In the video, Cassie exits a hotel room and walks to a bank of elevators. Then Diddy, holding a towel around his waist, runs down the hall after Cassie. He grabs her by the neck and throws her to the floor. Still holding his towel closed with one hand, he then turns to kick her.
Well, they can kill people.
Okay, well, I want to read to y'all because I just want to present all sides.
Of course.
And y'all
Of course.
I'm going to read y'all what Willie D had to say because, I mean, I enjoy Willie D.
The Southern man.
I absolutely love Willie D.
My brother. Shout out to Willie D.
Willie D says, I know some of you are about to be tight over what I'm about to say, but I'll take my chances. See, Willie D is braving the niggas already. He jumping out there, but that's why I fuck with him.
Yeah.
I don't have a dog in the fight, but using Cassie's youth as a blanket excuse for the choices she made during her decade-long relationship with Diddy is problematic because it removes the necessary element of accountability, without which no one learns or grows. Diddy and Cassie is a cautionary tale for men who use their money and power to abuse others. On the flip side, it tells young women who will come after Cassie, no matter what you get yourself into and who gets hurt, as long as you are young, you won't be held accountable. By her own admission, she stayed not out of fear, but because she didn't want another woman to take her place. Cassie is not some helpless victim. She is a savvy home-wrecking opportunist who left Ryan Leslie for Diddy, knowing he was with Kim Porter simply to upgrade her lifestyle, turning both Kim and Ryan into collateral damage. And let's not forget the kids. In court, she testified that she enjoyed the freak-offs, just not as often as Diddy did. She ultimately left him for the trainer he paid for, tried to blackmail him for $30 million, and when that failed, sued him and walked away with $20 million. Now that she's the prosecution star witness trying to bury him, yes, Diddy was abusive and should have been punished for it. But let's not pretend Cassie didn't cash in after every black. No, I don't feel comfortable saying that. I don't feel comfortable reading the last slide of that.
Some of that I kind of get the gist of, but I think the main thing that's important is that Cassie's not on trial.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
And I think he's wrong about all of that. I think we have to start from there, right? Get Cassie's not on trial.
And also the term home wrecker, I'm just like, why is the onus always put on the woman?
There's so many things, and I love Willie D, but I have to disagree with him on a few of those things. One, I don't think holding people accountable for the harm they cause means that the victims don't have accountability. Two, is just not the point. If I were to, you got that very expensive chain on, and if you were to walk through a really terrible neighborhood at 3 a.m. unarmed by yourself with that chain on, you might get robbed.
I know not to do it.
You know, right? But when you get robbed, yeah, I would say to you, you made some bad choices, but that doesn't negate the fact that the person who you should be able to do that.
About Mark, you actually helping. I've been quiet on this, but you actually helping the other side. You don't even see it.
I agree with that.
You're really helping the other side because what I know I shouldn't be out in the hood at 3 a.m. with my chains on.
But why? Because there's predators there.
But here's the problem. No, but here's the problem. Here's the real issue. The real issue is how.
No, but don't lose that point.
Okay,
right?
no, I'm about to tell you. I'm about to answer that. The way men see the world and the way women see the world, right? So the way men see the world, if you're my woman, I'm gonna be like, yo, babe, don't wear that because I know how men are. Now you'll say that's not how men's supposed to be. They shouldn't be that way. But men are smart enough to know that that's not the way the world works. Just because you wear I should be able to wear my chain everywhere, but I'm smart enough to know where the wolves are. Right, so my thing is when you lay with wolves, you almost got to know you laying with a wolf.
So hold on. But to your point, what if you didn't know that?
Right, and that's part of where the 19.
Well, you didn't know what?
Yeah,
and that's part
to not wear your chain there. There's what if you didn't grow up anywhere near the hood, don't know nothing about being robbed, robbery, nothing like that, but you watched TV and saw a chain and got a chain.
Yep.
And now you wearing it somewhere where somebody with some street sense would know not to wear that there, but you don't know because you're not from there, never been there.
And when we see him,
because you're young and inexperienced in that life.
And guess what happens? Usually somebody says, "Yo, you know where you at? Put that chain away." You know.
Or you know what else they say? Let me get that chain up.
That's my point. Exactly. You're right. That's right too.
Those are chances.
But at the end of the day, the point is you should live in the ideal world isn't one where you hide from the predators, it's one where there aren't predators. And in this case, I just feel like, again, I might, if Cassie were my sister, my mom might be like, yo, that's a bad situation to get into. All true. But at the end of the day, the question is, did he do harm? But and the second thing, and I want you to jump in, I just want to just finish this thought real quick. The second thing, though, to me is that doesn't necessarily mean that the legal standard for the crime in this case was met, right? Because
that's my only concern.
Which I agree. I agree. So that's where it comes down to trusting Cassie's word or Diddy's. But what I don't want us to do is to believe that because someone came back home, because someone didn't run at the first sight, because someone enjoyed a freak off, that means necessarily that they weren't being captive. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean they were. But
how though?
The example that I gave, that Mel gave, is that lots of people who are victims of things end up developing a psychological condition where they stay. Again, children get kidnapped. They get brought to a whole new city. They know they have other parents. And if the kidnapper stays with them long enough, they can send them to the store and the kid will come back.
That's true.
Enslaved people will literally leave a plantation and then go back. They or be afraid to leave. Yeah. Doesn't mean slavery wasn't bad.
That's true.
So all I'm saying is I'm not saying that we know everything that happened in Cassie and Diddy's house. I'm just saying that I wouldn't assume that because she stayed a long time, that's proof that Diddy didn't do it.
Mark, real quick, you just stated that Cassie is not on trial here, right? That's what you said. But on the flip hand is that the stuff that Diddy's being accused of, the stuff that he's on trial for does not fit the circumstances right now and what's being said.
That's my only problem.
That's why
Cassie's not on trial.
He's not on trial for being an abuser, a manipulator, for taking advantage. He's on trial for sex trafficking and whatever the other two are.
But here's the problem.
Y'all, if I'm looking from Puff's POV, y'all are saying I sex trafficked my girl.
Who I'm supposed to take care of.
This is my girlfriend. Yo, y'all, and I know that it's easy to paint Puff as the monster. He's done a great job of it himself. But nobody is that 100% of the time. Part of his manipulation and bullshit is the charm and all of that goes along with. So what do you do when Puff's attorney is saying there were times where he was fully functional on the drugs and you kept going?
To be clear,
let me finish. What do you do when the Puff's attorney is saying, hey, there were times when Puff was urging you that we can't freak off. You have a role that you have to get ready for. We can't do this. And you were the person that continued and urged this to go on. Like, it's not just the picture that y'all are painting. And again, it falls on which side you believe. Do you believe that he was sex trafficking Cassie? And again, I think that they're going to get him with the next few. I just don't think they did a great job with Cassie.
For clarity, for my sake and for the listener's sake, isn't most of the sex trafficking not regarding her being sex trafficked, but the prostitutes and other people that were being brought in?
She basically sets the stage because she was there and present for it, and also instructed having sex with them, and instructed to quote unquote purchase them. Purchase their time. Right.
All we're talking about is their sexual moments, and this is a RICO trial. If this is a domestic violence trial or a state trial, I wouldn't care. All this is great.
I think we have to set the stage.
Here's why it matters. Here's why it's relevant. And I agree. The domestic abuse as such is not on trial.
Yes.
But the problem is when you're trying with sex trafficking, because of those elements of coercion or fraud or force.
Yes.
You need to establish.
I have to establish how you're using force and how you're coercing somebody, and that's where saying, "Well, he's beating the shit out of me, and if I don't do it, he's going to beat the shit out of me again." When people get trafficked in other countries, that's often it's the fear that they take your green card or your documentation, but it's also the fear that they'll cut you or shoot you or beat you. So the fear of violence is a form of enforcement of sex trafficking, and so I think y'all are right in the implicit point y'all are making. And I agree with you, which is the prosecution is not just using it for that that purpose. But they're trying to make the jury they want the jury to prosecute Puff for being a monster, not for the particular crime. But they do have a legitimate,
and they're doing a great job at that.
Yes,
they're doing a great job at just this guy's a piece of shit. Convict him off that.
That's what it really is.
We shouldn't need anything more.
That's true, but it just so happens that his piece of shit habits are relevant for the conversation.
Mark, but what he's doing, he was supposed to do. Like, that's my woman. I'm going to put my girl's right there. I'm going to give her money. And we gonna be. It's like, am I sex trafficker now? Like, if she's mad at me, that's where it reads.
They talking in court. Like, they talking in court language, which is why I'm letting it rock. I'm talking on nigga shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is relevant in nigga shit and Parks.
Exactly.
It is relevant that she was with Ryan Leslie prior to ever meeting Dude. And y'all saying she's not on trial, but she kind of is. Because her behavior in the past is relevant to what happens with this man's future.
Well, how so? Just say more. I'm not following. How so?
They paint her as a fast little hussy.
Got it. That's what you're saying.
Opportunist.
They paint her as somebody that maybe didn't have shit, didn't have no way of ever having shit.
I see what you're saying.
And saw a powerful man, was attracted to that, left the nigga she was with, deaded him, and went and signed up for all this shit, maybe not knowing what she was getting into. I don't want to sound like, I don't think she knew.
But and I think that might be the actual story. I don't think so either. But I think what you just painted might be the story. She might have been like, that's a lick. She might have got in there and said, fuck Kim.
But
she might have got in all that shit.
Right?
He did. He did a lot
the fake
to
flyer.
the fake event
to
or whatever.
to take her away from him. So it don't necessarily mean that
she slid again with Cuddy. She was with Cuddy and slid again. She slid every time he asked her to slide. Stop with this Cassie innocent shit. I can't.
Me neither,
I don't think she's all the way innocent in it. I also think she's a victim and he's going away and horrible things were done. But I think they both was on some shit.
So let me ask you the question. If he's the one on trial and you believe that she's the victim and he's going away, why are we worried about how we painting her?
Because I know because the niggas that was outside for a while don't look at that as artists to CEO. That's why. Because Cassie put her song out and nobody that had 2 cents in the music business thought Cassie's coming out with more music.
She's the fire.
Nobody thought that. And we've seen mad times. Carisha just fucking did it.
Yep.
What are we talking about? I know we in court, so cool.
Yeah.
But don't act like we don't know the bitches that see the CEO, think I can get with him, and I'm never doing music again.
So wait.
They make that trade all the time. I'm not talking
All
about
the
that.
time, Joe.
No, I understand. So, question, because from what I remember, we can actually look it up. I feel like it's not like her debut album was a dud. You know what I'm saying? So in the way that you're saying that nobody had any expectations that she was going to have another album, I don't think that that's necessarily true.
That girl was
from the
cold,
inside,
though.
Melissa.
That girl was
Okay, so
cold.
from
I don't think she had that expectation. I think the other people may have.
If you're in the music business, you got to understand. Her coming in, we all knew she was a Ryan Leslie creation. It was Ryan Leslie's girlfriend that he created. He produced everything, and then she left Ryan Leslie being his creation. It becomes Puff creation because whatever it is, it might have been bigger.
Okay.
But the part that bothers me is that we don't acknowledge what really happens. What happens is that Puff brings, because we hate Puff so much, right? We hate him, right? I get that. But this was an employee of his, a trainer that he hired to train him and her, that takes her away. She writes a book basically saying, give me 20 million for this, 30 million for this and this. Nobody, and the personal trainer, white guy just walking around like he's harmless. Like, dog, Puff's not a great person. I can get that. But that don't mean he deserves everything worse and he's the only bad. This is not a Tyler Perry movie where he's only one bad guy. It's bad people in every scenario.
And he's the one the feds went and got and is on trial.
And he's who they want. But my point is,
and she's the author that got immunity. See, we don't never pay no money.